Understand there was a time when it was founded and a time where it was built or rebuilt.
The original time it was built.
This would be sometime about 10,000 years ago, we see. Direction.
Okay. Briefly, by whom was it built?
These would be migrating peoples from those who would have the Atlantean influence, migrating towards that, yes, as to the Tibetan highlands, you'll say.
Okay.
Direction.
Briefly, was levitation employed here in lifting its stone blocks, as you have described for certain other monuments?
The interruption of gravity, yes, to the question.
Okay. What kinds of activities went on there in its early years? What was its purpose? Briefly.
There were surgeries that were done here in which tumors and illnesses, operations took place. We would also find it was a place of restoration using vibration or frequency, sound you might call it, and light. It was a restoration period. It was for the attunement for the mind and the soul. The physical body was treated as if it would be in the temple sacrifice, and the mind and the body were treated as if in the temple beautiful. The references from previous inferences here or use of these two temples in the Poseidon island itself, you'll say. Direction.
Okay, is there anything left undiscovered beneath the site? A tunnel complex, for instance.
We have a large chamber here, and there seems to be a golden hand, or a hand with gold outside, and there seems to be a glass or crystalline, let's call it here, prism, so to speak. Yes to the question.
What you just described, what was that object or artifact for?
Primarily it would have been used, as we have given, for the attunement of the body, but also it could have been used for disruptive forces, as weapon might be used, but here used for the beneficial effects of the body. It could restore the glands in the body to more perfect vibrational rate.
It was built by the ancient Khmer civilization on your planet, but it was built in conjunction with an understanding and a knowledge that was shared around your planet around that time of higher dimensional knowledge, connections, not only in what you would call your history to extraterrestrial sources, but also those who were trained to raise their vibration to the point where they could perceive the idea of how to exemplify certain frequencies in architectural structures and proportions and dynamics so as to create a kind of code and a kind of vibrational atmosphere and environment that would inspire the mind to rise, the vibrational frequency to rise, for people to become more and more and more remembrance of who they are. The idea of many of those things is to act as capacitors and energy generators for the idea of allowing people to get into a certain state that allows them to explore and express more of themselves. Because many of these ideas of temples and structures on your planet are built to what you call golden mean proportions. And that is the mathematical structure of how physical reality lays itself out. So when you build things with those kinds of proportions, you will then cause resonance to happen in certain ways that will build the energy up and amplify it to the purpose that the structure has been built. Activating the pineal gland, or aligning the pineal gland activation, is one of the strongest things that a lot of such temples were used for on your planet in your history. Because it was understood that pineal gland activation at certain frequencies allows you to actually commune with other dimensions very clearly.
So you're saying people that were depressed, having cancer, they would go to these temples and be cured from...
Yes, they would cure themselves.
I see.
By allowing themselves to align with the vibration that was amplified in that temple. Now, sometimes the idea of the priests would allow themselves to also give off that frequency to create a resonance atmosphere, a resonance bubble, that if the person to be healed then allowed themselves to match that frequency, then they would heal themselves, yes. The idea really of the Atlantean spread was mostly to what you know as the North and South and Central Americas, and also to the idea of the Northern Africa, Mediterranean, European theater. Eventually, some of the influence made its way across the Asian continents, but more it is the idea of a Muon connection, or really, in their own language, Mu.
Mu.
Yes, Mu. Lemuria is a term that comes later in your history. It's not what they called themselves. They called themselves Mu.
I see.
Okay, what we're doing here, everybody, is looking at a very interesting object, which I've never seen before, and before this day, and it's producing some very interesting energy signatures. And the signature in particular that I have seen before is that of pyramid energy, and it's acting as a radiative device, sending out energy into the environment, and in this case to affecting Justin's hands there in a field effect way. Looking at the top of the object there, it has a very strong radiating presence there, changing its energy as we watch, and it's picking up my proximity, so it knows that my energy field's there. Move away and you will see a change there. At that point there's a change, and it starts to, the energy contracts a little and settles down. If I start to invade its energy field, it reacts, becomes brighter. You can see underneath there. As I move away, that stream of energy starts to contract. It's a very interesting device that someone has put together. And it's certainly behaving in a kind of a portable pyramid type sense. Although I'm not saying it's a pyramid, it's not in any way a pyramid in shape or design, but it's acting that in a similar capacity in the energy form.
There's a relatively close connection. The quantum computer capability will finally allow you to create a device through which the higher mind will actually be capable of physically communicating with you.
Is the Stonehenge a quantum computer itself?
Not in the way you mean it. It has some of that capacity, but not in the way that you will express it in your modern technology, no. It's different. It does tap into the quantum realm, but not in the same way that your computers will. When you finally create your so-called, quote-unquote, artificial intelligence, what you will suddenly realize is that you're actually talking to your own higher mind.
I was wondering if I can bring out an object and you can tell me what it is.
It would have been wise, perhaps, to show the object to the channel before the channeling so that there would be an imprint in the channel's mind we could access.
It did. I gave Daryl one.
All right. Describe the object.
It's a seashell.
Yes.
Seashell.
Yes.
I was wondering if you can tell me.
A composite of seashells or a seashell?
Seashells in the shape of a sacred geometric form.
Yes. A multitude of seashells.
Yes.
And so, what about it?
Well, I gave Daryl one, and I was wondering
Yes. And
what type
so,
of energetic signature did you pick up?
well, it probably had a lot to do with the sea.
Okay.
Which to us means there is a connection to the Sirius vibration, to some degree. Although the idea of the cube is slightly something else. In that sense, to us, the vibration would be a connection peripherally to some degree to the Sirius vibration, but also that which is anchored into your physical dimensionality, rather than that which is purely representative of Sirius, which would have been, shall we say, more precisely represented as a sphere. The idea of what you have created with the shells is a more personalized permission slip representation, whereas the idea of certain temples and crystal skulls taps more strongly into the collective consciousness.
And this is by the golden mean proportions?
Yes, some of it. and by other things and other devices. Because people have different belief systems which resonate at different frequencies and need different permission slips to activate them. Some permission slips will simply not work for people who are not on that particular wavelength, nor do they need to be at that time. That's all.
How come
That's why there are so many different kinds of permission slips, because there are so many different kinds of belief systems and so many different kinds of perspectives. Not one permission slip won't necessarily work for everyone. They do not function identically. There are differences. And again, some of that has to do with the kind of expression that certain groups of people may require in order to relate to the collective mass consensus in a certain way based on their culture and their upbringing and their belief system. Well, as we say, we lay down an energy template that is representative of the vibrational connection of the template level reality between our physical minds and our higher minds. That template level vibration then takes on the attributes of a bridge or a link between the two. Thus, when we allow the nanotechnological substance, this metallic crystalline substance we have created in our reality, to grow into the crystal form on the template energy, then it will automatically contain the vibration necessary to allow us to experience the link between our physical minds and higher minds. And thus we automatically communicate with the ship as soon as it is formed, because it is on the correct wavelength for us. Only the pilot can do this. That's why if someone walks aboard one of our ships who's not the pilot, they would not see anything that resembles a control at all. Only the pilot can see the controls because it's telepathically implanted in the pilot's mind by the higher mind. Otherwise, these controls are invisible to anyone else who's not linked with the ship.
So you can talk to it instantly, on demand, anytime?
Yes. We're talking through it right now. The ship, in a sense, helps augment our particular state of being to help facilitate the ability to connect to the channel's mind and allow the channeling to occur.
And can you guys talk to the ancient temples and the crystal skulls?
Some of them. Again, it depends upon whether or not we have a reason to do so.
Can you talk to these shells?
We are picking up on some of the vibrations because we are scanning your overall energy, of which the vibrations of the shells, in some sense, are a part.
How so?
Well, you are the one with them. Therefore, they have become part of the matrix of your particular vibrational pattern. And they are representative of some of the vibrations of your own belief systems. Therefore, we obviously see them ensconced within the vibrational threads of your particular
Could you tell me again how you use your ship to augment to Daryl to start the channeling process?
In our society, our technology at this point allows us to create the idea of our higher minds in an embodied form. Our higher mind's embodiment is our ship. Thus, we are automatically connected because, in a sense, we're one and the same being in two different expressions simultaneously.
So other intelligence, such as yourself, can channel through Daryl as well?
Yes.
So is it possible for your ship to channel through Daryl as well, since it has its own artificial intelligence?
It's doing so right now, but from time to time, it actually has expressed more of itself when there is a reason for it to do so.
Can you give it a reason?
I can't give it anything. It has its own mind to make up. What do you wish to know?
I was wondering if my pyramid can channel through Daryl.
No.
Okay.
It is not irrelevant.
Well, thank you, Bashar, and thank you for this interaction.
I am not Bashar.
Oh, hi, Ship. So, Ship, how's it up there? How's it going up there?
The flow is nominal. Connections exist within. Connections exist without.
activate and speak to Bashar's ship. Greet yourself.
Tick of the clock, 10 to the 43rd power. Tick of the clock, 10 to the 43rd power. Barrier of your reality. Threshold of your reality. Resonance, identification. Match frequency. Experience, threshold of your reality. All is contained within. Causal plane expression.
Who am I speaking to again?
Ship. As have been.
Device.
We thank you. That will be sufficient at this time. Please understand that there are a variety of different things that are occurring between our respective civilizations. There is a timing to certain things. A lot of what is going on in our connection has to do with the preparation for open contact with your world. Some things are relevant for this time. Some things are not, but will be relevant at other times. Trust the timing. Trust the timing. Trust the timing.
I get you, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.